this is gonna be my intro, but I just felt the need to talk about this, and as a lot of y'all know, I was a tarot and oracle reader. I'm sure a lot of y'all are like, what do you mean? Well, I have thrown away most, okay, I'm still in the process of tossing all that out, 2 trash bags full of oracle and tarot cards. I became convicted, okay? Convicted of what? I went through a lot of spiritual warfare throughout my practices, and I almost was like, okay, where do I even start with this? When I was in New Age, I started feeling a lot of anxiety, okay, and I didn't think that correlation equated causation at the time, because it doesn't, okay? It does not equate causation. But so I was like, yeah, maybe this is just me purging my trauma and wounds and shadow selves, whatever. Now that I talk about it, honestly, it sounds crazy, but also I'm not here to judge y'all. I know that most of y'all subscribe to me because I provided these readings. So I'm not here to condemn any of you. I'm just sharing my journey, my testimony, so that if anyone else experiences the same things as me, as I was, to really observe and like, because for me, I wasn't honest with myself. I wasn't honest with God. I claimed I was a Christian, yet I was reading cards, and I claimed as I was reading cards, I spoke directly to the Holy Spirit, when in fact I never tested the spirit or spirits of who I was consulting when I was doing my readings. And so essentially what I'm getting at is I was very lukewarm, but also you cannot dip, what is it? There's a Bible verse. So the verse is 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 21. It says, if you drink anything from the cup of demons, you cannot then drink wine from the Lord's cup. If you share a meal with demons, you cannot also share in, sorry, I had to click like this preview, the Lord's table and the table of demons. Essentially, this verse speaks to the dangers of being in the middle, okay? And I think some people have said dual-minded. Like for me, like how I was trying to justify what I was doing, and I didn't really honestly, also, I don't know if I'm gonna cut this video at all. I know that like as a YouTuber you should edit blah blah blah, but I don't want to, I want to keep this as raw and unfiltered as possible. There were many times where I was questioning whether what I was doing was right or wrong, and a great part of me knew that this went against my relationship with God, and that I wasn't presenting myself to serve God. And there was a time I remember distinctly where I was starting to promote my tarot readings out in public in college, and just offer free readings. And at that time, I remember I was being tormented with so much anxiety, with so much paranoia, insomnia, and I just thought there was like a battle going on, a spiritual warfare battle going on, but I didn't think of how my practices were really affecting that. I did, because I was seeing a lot of Christian videos that were saying, oh, like this is demonic, blah blah blah, but then I was also like I didn't want to have to admit that. And I also was like, y'all are too dramatic about it. But now, because once I've thrown out everything and once I've quit New Age practices, I can look back and see how many warnings that God has sent and revealed to me. So one of them, this is something that I haven't shared to a lot of people, but I had so many demonic nightmares, okay? Like where there was rituals going on, where there was literally the devil in my dream chasing me, and me also almost being stuck. It felt like such a dark place, but I escaped at the right time. But just never, none of my dreams were, I almost had to expect my dreams to be that way and torment me in that way. And I was almost like, oh, it's just symbolic, like telling me something significant in my life where I need to purge and like work on my trauma. This doesn't come off very like judgy, where you guys are watching me being like, oh, you just changed all of a sudden and now you're just thinking all of this stuff that you preached or used to dabble in is funny and corny and whatever. Well, to be honest, yeah. Okay, and look, I'm not here to judge anyone because I was literally in that same boat not even a week or two ago. And I know that sounds so impulsive, but when God really truly knocks at your door, and it's weird because I know if God truly called me that one time I mentioned, I would have denounced it at that moment. But I feel like God almost allowed me to stumble a little bit to let these practices kind of torment me and then realize that this is not of God, and then it brought me closer to God, and he put conviction in my heart where I was like, I even came across a Doreen Virtue video, and if some of y'all don't know who Doreen Virtue is, she created angel cards, I believe. I'm not sure, but I own 2 of her decks, okay? And what are the odds that I come across her testimony? I'm like, what? She denounced all New Age, even her businesses. She's produced so many oracle or tarot cards, I don't know, but she found God, and now she's like a living testimony for people who are practicing New Age. And I just got into a really deep dive, and there was a part of me that was like, no, I can't give up everything just because I see other people's experiences. Maybe those are their experiences, maybe they're not my experiences. But then that led me to read the Bible, and so many of these biblical verses talking about how divination, sorcery, magic, like enchantments, those are all an abomination to God, okay? And then I try to reconcile my passion for tarot and the occult and the New Age, and I used to try to reconcile it where I'm like, well, why would God give me these gifts and to help people, and for me not to do it? If I know my intentions while doing these, isn't that enough? Well, there's actually so much arguments that really truly allowed me to see when I started reading the Bible more and getting other people's experiences and testimonies. The devil does not masquerade or masquerades as an angel of light, okay? Remember, the devil is not gonna present himself to you as this scary energy or entity with horns and a red tail, whatever, pitchfork. He's going to present himself in a way that draws you away from God, in a very crafty, sneaky way. And also, my username, Serpentine Irene, I really feel like this was the devil gave me the idea where I was like, because he, the snake, Garden of Eden. Anyways, I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not. I'm praying over that. Anyways, aside from the point. So, of course, he's going to forge and produce counterfeit versions of God's work. And we are given these gifts from God, okay? Me being very passionate about understanding people and trying to guide people towards healing and this and that, that is my gift from God. But I used it to serve Satan in a sense, because all of this occult practice is not of God. It is so away from who Jesus really is. So it's like now I can serve God with this gift. And that's something that I'm like, wow, that's insane. That's really insane. Because when I was in all of this, I started realizing after coming out of it that it was all me. Okay, yes, I cared about people. Yes, I love telling people about what's going on in their life and what they should do about it. But it was all about me. Law of attraction, manifestation. What could I do for me? What am I going to get out of this situation? Oh, I feel like I'm coming to some sort of breakthrough. And that is what the devil does. It keeps you in some sort of loop, okay? This false hope. And now even watching channeled messages, I know that these creators that I follow have good intentions, and that was me too. But now watching them, although a lot of the things that they said align at that time, I don't even think they realize that it keeps people in this like cycle of, oh, okay, yeah, like I'm going to get out of here. I'm any day now. I was in that loop where I was like, any day now, I'm waiting for change. And look, a lot of people, I need to pull up this verse once I find it. I may put it here. Where it's like, you may succeed, many or some may succeed, some may inspire terror. Where it's like, what you're doing, you could succeed. You could succeed as an influencer, as a channeled message, oracle, spiritualist. A lot of people succeed, and that's who I looked up to them, okay? And I was like, oh my gosh, they're my inspiration. Essentially, this is a form of idolatry that does not idolize God. So, and to be honest, I truly felt deep in my soul that I'm gonna get there, and I have the qualities and the skill and the talents to get there in that position. But at what cost? And I thank God that he pulled me out and I chose to listen to him before it got any deeper than this. And I'm pretty deep right now. Like, I felt like when I was throwing all these things away, I was like, who am I without this? And in that moment, I didn't realize how much of a red flag that is, that I tied my identity to New Age and the occult practices, where I was like, well, then who am I? What do I do? What am I good at? What am I skilled at other than this? I felt like I was no one when I got rid of this. And I don't know, like, that big sweep of things that I threw out, the only things that I kept were gifts from people, which is not much, but even that, I'm kind of like, okay, this is the final sweep, me getting rid of everything. I haven't touched it ever since, but when your identity is so closely tied to something that's a material thing or just thing that is not of God, that's a form of idolatry, okay? And that is an attachment, a negative attachment to that thing, because you feel like you're nothing without it. But in reality, you're nothing without God. And that's something that it took me a while to process, is that okay, where's this verse from? I know the verse goes something like, for who wants to save their life will lose their soul, but who, wait, no, hold on. For who, wait. Okay. Matthew 16:25. It goes, "For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it." And that is a verse that I came to in the midst of all of this, where I'm like, but who am I without my card readings or like the channel messages? And people sought me out and they thought I was cool because I had these talents and these gifts, and oh my gosh, I'm so hip and different and unique and set apart. God said, whoever wants to save their life will lose it, and whoever is willing to lose their life for me will find it. There is such a stark difference between you trusting these schemes or Satan's little temptations, where you're like, he's ingraining into you that you can be the next spiritualist and make so much money off your tarot readings, and then you're gonna be so special and bohemian. I like, it's just a vibe, okay? The vibe that you have, the essence that you have is just so otherworldly and ethereal, essentially making you feel like you could be your own god. Okay, that's an actual very relevant idea that New Thought covers, which is about Christ consciousness, that you are your own God. And if you think about it objectively, who else would that be trying to make you stray away in those kind of schemy little cunning ways, where Satan will send you angel numbers, okay? He'll send you animal omens. Also, interpreting omens is a sin. But for me, I'm like, well, God sent me this sign. God sent me the butterfly to land on me and this and that. Like, but something I realized as well once I enter out of that stuff. First of all, the angel number's rapid, okay? It's like never before hitting me in my face, okay? Because a lot of people will share that once you leave New Age, a lot of people share scary testimonies. Thank God that I haven't experienced like nothing like that. But the intensity and the amount of desires and vices that Satan will throw at me is like never before. Like before, I'd be constantly seeking out angel numbers, omens, and it would just come at like whenever it needs to be. And actually, there was a lot of times where it would come a lot, but none of it ever really made sense. Like for example, 555 means change, okay, or it can indicate change, and I'll see it randomly when I'm just drinking my coffee, and I'm like, what kind of change could happen in my life? It's like, it's never clear. It's always blurry. It keeps you in this loop of, oh, what's coming? Now I can expect it. Once I seriously started looking at that with a clear vision, and I don't know if I'm going to share this in this video, but there was something that I prayed for to God after all of this. And he has revealed it to me in the most clear, crystal clear way I've ever seen in my life, okay? When you get into New Age, like I even wrote this on my threads, God will never send you down a rabbit hole. When he needs to deliver a message, he will deliver that message. Whether it be through someone in your life, whether it be through signs, okay? But you will know if you test the spirit that is from God. God will never send you down a rabbit hole. He does not need to do that. And so something I realized I did, I'm sure a lot of y'all can relate if y'all were into occult things and like the hidden and the esoteric knowledge, New Age stuff. There's just so much to consume that you want more. Like the astrology, the Enneagram, the MBTI. Okay, aside from all that, I have my own opinions on that. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But when you get so into like learning about yourself and how you're set apart from other people and your own gifts and your own skills and how you're different, and learning about more hidden knowledge, like, oh my gosh, I'm a starseed, I'm a light worker, I was chosen for this path. it's like this constant thirst and chase for something that will never sustain you. But when you choose God, you will never be thirsty. Okay? You'll never be thirsty. I haven't. I mean, I'm really new to this journey right now. But with New Age, it was like day in and day out, I'm looking for signs. I'm looking for little new things and tricks up my sleeve. But it never really like it only made my ego bigger. I'm not gonna lie. It didn't make me feel any type of love or like the spirit guys I'm talking to. Oh my gosh. Ugh. They never actually made me feel seen or at peace or like, it was very momentary. It was very short. It was very temporary. And with God, once I threw all those things away, or I at least denounced New Age and I stopped touching them, practicing it altogether, my life has never been so quiet and peaceful and still. And the anxiety was literally all of that. Okay, I have dealt with like social anxiety and all of that, but aside from that, I've never had panic attacks up until that point that I started picking up that tarot card. Now I know that was what it was. And yeah, so I don't know, this video is really long and I need to get my makeup done. I'm doing my makeup, but maybe I'll add a little bit more after my makeup, who knows. But if this is the end of the video, I have much more to say. This channel is going to, I'm just so excited because I personally feel like God is calling a lot of people out of New Age, okay? And he has been. And when we start joining his kingdom and serving the one and only true God, it's just, it's amazing and it's exciting. And I don't know, I don't really know how to describe this in words right now, but this is the end of the video. Much love to all of y'all guys. I won't take it personally if this is not something that you like, and of course you subscribe to me because of my practices, my occult things. So if you're like so turned off by it, I'm not gonna be offended, because in reality, something that I just this is a really long outro, but when I was doing tarot, I thought that like, oh, people are against me because I do this witchcraft stuff, or like people call me a witch. Oh my gosh, like I'm so different. And this is I'm gonna get really deep into this, but I do feel like a certain group of people, like, okay, I'm not trying to single anyone out, but God sends battles, like different battles to different, like we all serve the body of Christ, but in our own unique ways. So I mean, we're fearfully and wonderfully made by God, so we're going to differ, we're gonna have certain experiences, but my experiences align really closely to some former New Agers experiences where we've been bullied or we've been kind of like shut out from the church. And I'm gonna get deeper into that in another video, but like, so I always felt like I was kind of like set apart, but in a negative way. But once I found tarot, I was like, oh, I could use this as my power and my strength. But actually, in reality, Christians are the ones who are most condemned, okay? So I'm not going to take it personally if y'all unsubscribe. I won't, okay? Because, well, not because. But I hope that this can speak to some of y'all. One of you, it doesn't matter, but if you're going through the same things as me, or if you feel conviction in your heart, just pray over it. The best thing to do is read the Bible and pray to Jesus and ask for clarity, pray for repentance. He will answer you, okay? Trust.